We're there. Welcome to the mailbox. Here it every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. right here on the family station Love 101 FM, celebrating 30 years right here and going the number one gospel station. So welcome to another week here in the mailbox. Man a man from Moran Point to Negril. Want to celebrate the man, them positive man, them committed God man, Jesus man, and holy heap of men in the place who believe in righteousness and truth. And so this is the program where we challenge, encourage, and empower our men to become all that they were created to become on planet Earth. I'm Kevin Bailey, and my co-host Courtney Morrison will be here with us as well. So let me just say good evening to everyone and welcome to the mailbox right here. Can you imagine the 29th of March 2023 and the time waits on no man. So this week's discussion, we'll be looking at M Cube, men making money. Men making money. We started this topic last week and realized it was a hit, so we brought it back for part two. Of course, we are interested in money, and especially our men. And we have some very special guests this evening. We have Bruce Scott, Chartered Accountant, Director at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and author as well. And we're hoping that Simon Plummer will join us as well. He's a statistician and CEO of Jazzin Production and bassist. So we're hoping and trusting that he'll be able to join us as well. So it's really going to be an interesting time. When you think of money, it can be unnerving, and many persons go through conflict, how to view money. And especially for men, we are told we are providers, providers. Among the roles that we're expected to play is that we ought to be providers, and persons will remind us that if we do not provide, we're worse than an infidel, as it were. And so we need money, and we're really looking forward to this conversation. We have these well-abled men, Bruce Scott, Chartered Accountant, directed at PricewaterhouseCoopers. He's an author as well, a good friend, someone I know for years, and will be sharing a lot with us. Sir Bruce, welcome to the mailbox.
Hey Kevin, thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Oh gosh, great to have you. Thank you so much for really making the time to be with us, and I am trusting that we will have enough time to do topic as well. So welcome again, and thank you so much for being with us, Sir Bruce. We are supposed to be joining also Sir Simon. Simon, are you there?
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. You and your listeners, good afternoon, Mr. Bruce Scott.
Simon Plummer.
Yes, sir.
I have to date myself I'm forgetting I'm on the air. Good afternoon, Simon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Scott.
Hey, I tell you, this is great. We will have perspectives, and we say in the Monday from Moran Point to Negril, we want to look at men making money. And, conflicting for so many of us, because the demands on men can be a lot if we don't play our part, and many things require money. But we have the experts in the house today, and I want our listeners to realize that you can give us a call. You can ask them any question. They will be able to answer it. So man, we want to hear from you. Send your feedback or questions on Facebook, our page at Love 101 FM. Leave your comments via our WhatsApp line at 876-997-3125. That's 997-3125, or give us a call. Better yet, give us a call on our studio line, 876-968-8327. That's 876-968-8327. Ladies, remember, you can participate in the program by leaving us a message via WhatsApp or comment on our Facebook page. And females, remember, no calls or voice note allowed. Please allow the man them. Encourage your husband, your boyfriend, your uncle, grandfather, and all the male friends them. Make them call and make them leave the voice notes. All right. So we are going to kind of just start, and I'm gonna ask Sir Bruce Scott, just as an opening, why is it important to have a conversation about money? Why is it important that we talk about money, Sir Bruce?
Well, thanks, Kevin. So I heard a statistic. I didn't really check it for myself, but I have no reason to doubt it, that Jesus spoke about money more than he spoke about many other things. There's a saying that I would do what Jesus do. So Jesus is always talking about money. But apart from that, I think the reality is that the Great Commission that we have as believers, if you think about it, it needs to be funded. It needs money. Jesus had persons in his ministry. There was Susanna and many high-profile persons who helped Jesus's ministry, so to speak. So we need money simply to get the gospel message out. And that's the institution of church. We need money in the institution of families. There are life events that parents have to deal with. There is retirement. There is the kids' college fund. There is giving back to the community. There is dealing with investments to secure a certain lifestyle. So if you look at the church needs money to fund its operations. You look at the family needs money to deal with life events. And you look at the community, right? People are in need, charities. Jesus talked about loving your neighbor as yourself. So those are three basic reasons why we must talk about money. And as we continue, it's not just about making the money, but it's about learning how to money so that it can work and do wonders.
Thank you so much. As a voice there of Bruce Scott, those who are listening, of course, those who can see him, that is Bruce Scott right there as well. And he has written a book, and he'll be talking to us a little bit about that, so that you can have resource material as well. Sir Simon, your perspective, why is it important? Should we be talking about money?
Well, absolutely. And
Yes.
the guru, I've just heard the guru. Because really, I'm actually here with my notebook just to really take notes, but I'm chipping every now and again. Because Scott is here, I don't need to say a word. But I mean, yes, as it is not only a cliche, that money answers all things. Listen, we need money to do everything. It's just the love of money. Love of money is the root of all evil, and that is really so. And not diverting, but we see what's happening in our society right now. Yeah, but we all do need money. We all do need money. It answers all things.
Thanks, Simon. And I'm glad you touch on that verse, because it's often misquoted. And I want Bruce to share a little bit on that. Some people, they misquote and say money is the root of all evil. And the scripture says the love of money is the root of all evil. And many persons have really gone into sin and consequences which they did not want. Sir Bruce, can you share a little bit about that? How do we know when we are loving money instead of just respecting it and using it for the glory of God, for our families, for our community, and all the wonderful things that money can do? How does a person know, when we're falling into the love of money?
Yeah, so I think the answer to that is in the great Gospel of Matthew, where the Bible talks about your where your treasure is. I'm trying to make sure I get that right. And so if it is that money controls you, then you are in trouble, as opposed to you controlling money. And there are some indicators as to whether or not you are in control or money is in control of you. And it simply comes down to giving. Jesus says it's more blessed to give than to receive. And mathematically speaking, I give 10. On the face of it, it appears as if I'm worse off because I have 90. But when we understand that what that 10 would do for somebody else in relation to what it would do for us, it is absolutely amazing. There are some people who don't even give away prayers. and that is a sign that money controls them. There's a quick story that I want to share. I remember years ago, I was in a parking lot downstairs there, PwC, and a lady came up to me and she said, "Teacher, why you call me teacher?" She said, "Because you're wearing glasses." But that was her introduction, right? She wanted money, and she said, "You know, I need some funds." I was heading to my car, and I started moving towards my wallet. And you know, once you start moving towards your wallet, you can't turn back, right? So I'm being very honest with you. I was looking for $100. Yeah. Didn't find $100. I'm gonna come back to why I'm telling this story. Okay, couldn't find $100, and okay, maybe I can find $500. Could not find $500, and wow, the biggest in Bailey, I gave the woman the $1,000. And when I gave her the money, she literally almost fell backwards. You know, when they came to address Jesus and he said, "Who do you want?" And the Bible said, "It fell." And then she said, "May God bless you. May God bless you, bless you, bless you. May you live to this son, your son, your son." She repeated all of her words. I can now eat for the next week. And I'm saying, one of the signals is when we understand the power of releasing what God has blessed us with and the multiplier effect, what that $1,000 did for her relative. In Corinthians, the Bible talks about when we give, the people that you give to will break out into praises and they will pray for you. So all I'm saying is, yes, you know, when money controls us, when our heart is there, it's almost like an idol. We don't give, we grumble, we don't give cheerfully. And that's a missing, you know, persons who find themselves that they're also missing out on the joys. When I saw the lady's reaction, that gave me so much joy that kept it for myself.
Thank you so much for that story. Really drives home the point of giving. Well, just about this time, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna go to the studio. Then we come back. We're gonna have the conversation. We continue with Simon and Bruce. So this is the mailbox. We take a break. We'll be right back after this.
I am a man, yes, strong man, integrity man. I am a man.
Ooh la la! I see what I want at the Phosphorus Super Sale, March 21 to 31, Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Come get your wires, breakers, chandeliers, wall lamps, LED bulbs, and so much more. Shop in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. You can't afford to miss it. Come shop, come save at Phosphorus Super Sale, March 21 to 31. See you there at Phosphorus.
Reverend Dr. Kerry Dennis, deliverance practitioner and prophet from Tampa, Florida, will be setting the captives free on Good Friday, April 7 p.m. at the Jamaica Theological Seminary, 14 to 16 West Avenue, Kingston 8. If you're sick, lame, can't walk, blind, Jesus will heal you. Bound by witchcraft, Jesus can set you free. Come believing God, for whom the Son sets free is free indeed. Fun and cheese and refreshments will be served. Sponsored by Acts 222 Ministries of Tampa, Florida. For more information, visit www.kerrydennis.org.
Keep your career options open for local and overseas job opportunities in the booming hospitality and tourism industry with City and Guilds and ABE endorsed certification at Distinction College. Start online and face-to-face classes very soon in a career of high demand for workers globally and get certified in housekeeping, food preparation, waitering, travel, tourism, and hospitality, bartending and mixology, customer service, call center, cake baking and decorating, airline ticketing. No subjects required, no age limit. Register this week and get an additional course for free. Call Distinction College at 876-356-4167 or 354-8560. Visit us in Kingston, Spanish Town, Ocho Rios online or St. Elizabeth.
I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes. Strong man.
Integrity man, I am a man. Well, man, we have some integrity man in the place. So welcome. This is the mailbox on Love 101 FM, the family station. And we're celebrating 30 years of service to the nation and to the world. And this is the #1 gospel station as well. So we continue our conversation. We're talking about money, the importance of it, and looking at it in a holistic way. We're having Bruce Scott and we're having Simon Plummer with us. Sir Scott, what motivated you to write the book 14 Steps to Financial Freedom? Give us a brief synopsis, of the why, where the motivation come from. Yeah.
How much time you have?
I know.
All right. So let me, just before I answer the question, Kevin, the title of the book, as you said, is 14 Steps to Financial Freedom. But the subtitle of the book is Simple Strategies to Grow, Protect, and Sow Your Money. Grow, protect, and sow your money. So that's GPS your money. It's a simple strategy.
Grow, protect, and
sow your money.
Sow your money.
And it's a G, if you look carefully, G for grow, P, protect, S. So it's easy to remember. GPS your money. So every man needs to learn how to GPS their money so that we can be good providers. All right. Motivation for the book. A lot of persons, because I don't know, they trust me, fairly well-known accountant, but persons would confide in me about their personal finances. I remember I was talking to a couple. Well, it started with the wife. She heard me present on a webinar and wrote to me afterwards and said when she heard all the grow and protect and how she'd be showing money, she wept. The struggles she was having with her family. And she asked me if I could talk to her and her husband. And I agreed. And Kevin Bailey, I spent 4 hours. This couple is in the US. They're Jamaican roots, right? But they're in the US. 4 hours.
Wow.
From like 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock, talking them through a whole sea of debt and, just investments and how to manage your savings. And I found that a lot of persons, and I don't charge, right? It's just almost like a ministry. And so what I'm trying to persons like her, and when I listen to the pain brought by their finances, and persons would say to me, Bruce, if I knew the things that you're telling me now, I would not be in this financial storm today. And so I realized that a lot of the pain that people experience with their finances is born out of a lack of awareness on basic personal financial management principles. And I also was able to trace that back in schools in the same way that we teach about math and science. And so I went to Jamaica College, the great college that's going to storm away with champs. So no arguments here. I have the microphone. And so I went to Mr. Wayne Robinson, big up Wayne Robinson. And I said, Wayne, I have people coming to me and I see some systemic weaknesses. I need to teach this to our college men. And on the spot, Wayne Robinson said, yes. And then Mr. Wong got involved. I now teach at least once every semester at JC to start to stymie the problem. So the purpose of the book is to equip and to empower. The book, a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old can read it. And it is simply to do this. One, to give you the wisdom to understand how to save, invest, grow, and give your money. But the book is also not preventive for people who have not yet started to earn, like kids in school, but a book is also targeted to people who are living paycheck to paycheck, meaning if you miss 1 month's salary for whatever reason, it will cause your blood pressure to elevate. All right. So it's really a empowering book.
Yes.
And by the way, it's all about financial education. If you need financial advice, speak to your financial advisor. So that was the motivation for the book, to empower persons to learn and to understand how they can get to financial freedom using the GPS method. Grow, protect, sow your money. And of course, there's a ton of stuff underneath that, right?
Thank you for that. And some of them we're going to unpack this afternoon. No, we're not going to have sufficient time. We're going to try as best as possible. And we do have a question here. But before I go to the question, Sir Plummer, Simon, tell us a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Your role as a statistician, that's a pronunciation here. Yeah, tell me a little bit about what do you do?
Okay, I realize quite a few persons now want to get tongue tied with that pronunciation there, but it's statistician. So statistician. I'm a statistician. Right, statistician, right.
Yes.
I am employed by the government of Jamaica through Statistical Institute of Jamaica.
Yeah.
Right. So what the role that I play now, I compile and I calculate what you call the consumer price index. Yes, on a national level. Essentially what that does, the CPI measures the change in price month over month. What most persons probably would know as inflation rate. Now, please don't be turning the stones now. Right. So essentially, that's the role I play as a statistician.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And men and boys listening, they always want to think of career paths, and so it's good for them to be seeing both of you here, so that they can aspire as well in different career goals. So we want you to listen out this question here that was sent to us. Hi, gentlemen. Great ministry. How do we leave an inheritance for our children when you did not get any and the budget is tight? Sir Bruce, question that is being asked of us.
So first of all, thanks for the question. For our children's children, so that would be your grandchildren, right? That must be that's good. When you didn't get any, so I'm not sure if the person is saying if they don't have any
and the budget is tight.
Yeah, let me deal with the budget is tight part, because all right, let's deal with the entire question. So even if you don't have any children, the persons in need in the book, in the last part of the book, so it's grow your money, protect your money, but the last part of the book is sow your money, and that part of the book speaks to the concept of once you have excess, once you have enough, we have a responsibility to sow, and the word sow there means to help others. Part of being financially free is to help others to be free. And so there are so many needs, as demonstrated by the story of the Good Samaritan. They asked Jesus, who is my neighbor? And he gave the story of the Good Samaritan. And the standard of giving is not even waiting for somebody to ask you. You see the person in need. The man was lying there on the dark Jericho road. He couldn't speak. His body spoke that he had a need. Have any children, then there are lots of needs out there where you can have that excess and bless. The budget is tight. That's exactly what the book is about. So the book argues in the first section, your budget is tight. How can you grow your money? And quickly, how you grow your money? You first have to understand your current financial health. So the doctor will tell you when you go to the doctor what your blood pressure is, what your PSA is, what your heart, if your heart is beating abnormally. You can do the same thing financially. You can do a financial health test. How much money do you save every month? How is your pension plan? You probably don't have a pension plan. Do you have any emergency fund? Insurance. Do you have a will? If you answer all of those in the negative, then you know you're in a bad financial way. And the next thing is, how then do I generate enough savings to fix those problems. So if you don't have an emergency fund, one of your financial goals will be to start an emergency fund or to build one over the next year. An emergency fund.
What's this? What is this emergency fund for our listeners, Bruce? What is this?
So,
this thing you call emergency fund?
I know I'm going fast. Thank you for slowing me down, Kevin.
Yeah.
So an emergency fund is, you can also call it your rainy day fund. And it is money that you need if you have an unexpected event. So like one time I was driving my car and it fell and I had 2 tires burst one time, and that was $200,000. Right? Wow. You must be wondering what kind of cars.
Sounds like an expensive car there.
$200,000. Now I have an emergency fund. So it's the fund that you. And if you don't have an emergency fund, you're going to find yourself incurring a lot of debt. Many persons find themselves in a sea of debt because you have an emergency. Your roof needs to be repaired. Your child is sick. You don't have health insurance. You need $200,000 to do the surgery. You're going to use that credit card if you don't have that cash. So it's a fund that will protect you from a rainy day. And if you don't have it, you will end up in a sea of debt. So that's one of the first things that we argue in the book, that you need to save enough to build that fund. 3 to 6 months is usually a good fund to start. So just to deal with understand where you are financially. If you do that health test and you see you have lots of issues, you're not saving enough money, the budget is tight, so you're going to see that. And then the next thing is, how do I then, the book essentially is about understanding the importance of saving money, because it is a saving in your hand that's going to help you to invest, build the emergency fund, have that college fund, buy the insurance for your family, buy the health insurance. And I talk about a way to generate savings and have a stronger budget that you can use to meet all of those weaknesses that you probably had when you did your health test. Try not to answer too long there, but the key thing when the budget is tight, clearly you have to see what you can trim in terms of your expenses. I have a method that I call the TTCI method of increasing your savings. So you look at your expenses, what are the low-hanging fruits, what you can trim. Subscriptions that you have that you're not using. That's still not letting you save enough money. You have to move from trim to chop. You might need to move house. You might need to move cars to save money. And it's not just about the expenses, because many, right? So then you need to move to increasing your income. And there are lots of ways, creative ways to do that. There's Upwork, there's Fiverr, and I know those are big words. You can Google them. All online methods that you can use to generate savings. So my good caller, what I'm saying is you need to check where you are overall, financial-wise, using that health test. But outside of that, you need to track your money, where your money has been going, what are your needs, what are your wants. Then you need to start trimming low-hanging fruits. If you still cannot save to get your budget some room, then you need to make some radical decisions. And this is where you need your spouse.
And Bruce, we're gonna come back. We have to take a break. We're gonna go to the studio. So you're listening to the Mailbox talking about money. We're gonna take a break. We'll be right back to continue this conversation.
Sorry, Kevin. No trying to say too much there.
Integrity man, I am a man.
Love is such a beautiful thing. Even more beautiful when you get to share with the person you want to spend your forever with. Join us this Thursday, March 30, for the Newlyweds on the truly marvelous program To Have and to Hold, where we talk to Rakalia and Philip Somers about their life as a brand new married couple, right here on the family station, Love 101.
Are you ready for another exciting show inside Alive 1 to 5 this Throwback Thursday, March 30? Well, join me, your host, Sarah and the Jerby One, for another time to recollect and to reconnect. Stay tuned for the brain testing mental at 1:45. Then for prayer blast at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside Pieces of the Past. We share with you some more historic facts. Then at 3 p.m., we bring you another episode of Proverbially Speaking. All this and more will come alive 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. This Throwback Thursday, March 30, on the family station, Love 101, celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
Ooh la la, I see what I want at the Phosphorus Super Sale, March 21 to 31, Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Come get your wires, breakers, chandeliers, wall lamps, LED bulbs, and so much more. Shop in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. You can't afford to miss it. Come shop, come save at Phosphorus Super Sale, March 21 to 31. See you there at Phosphorus.
I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes.
Strong man, integrity man. So, welcome back to the mailbox. We're having conversation with Bruce Scott and Simon Plummer. And I know we have to see how much we can get in. I'm still hoping that Courtney Morrison will join us. Is having some challenges there as well.
Kevin.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Sure.
I feel like I needed to just put it quickly together for that last question because I was kind of going on and on. Too much passion in my belly. So just to help our caller. So what I'm saying is the budget is tight. We call the TTCI method of helping you to save money and to create more wiggle room in your budget. The T is for track. Many people don't know where their money is going. So you spend it, look back at the last 3 to 6 months of your spending, see where your money has been going. What are my needs? What are my wants? You're going to chop the wants and maybe reduce some of those needs. You do that by looking at the low-hanging fruits, things that you don't really need, subscriptions that you don't use. But the big point I'm making is a C, is a chop. If you cannot save money every month, you're not going to be able to achieve your financial goals because you need savings to do that, right? Difficult thing, and we're talking about men and providing. This is where you need your partner to get involved. So if you're in a house that's 4,000 square feet and it's draining you, and you see where you can get that down to 2.5 and you save $100,000 a month, if you need to do that to start saving money, then you probably need to. And then the I is to increase your income. You have hobbies, you have talents that you're probably not leveraging because you need to increase your income as well. Sometimes you chop your expenses and you're still earning so low, cost of living is high. Comfort zone to find another source of income. So if you apply the TTCI method, it should free up your budget a bit. Just wanted to summarize that. Thanks, Kevin.
No, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Bruce, and trust that if the answer given there as comprehensive as possible, and we continue the conversation. Simon, do you have an emergency fund? Does that work for you, Simon?
Yes, sir. Just give me a minute, please. I was just turning another page in terms of taking my notes from the professor. Yes, sir. As you are saying now.
Yes. For the emergency fund that Bruce was talking about, is it something that you do?
So yeah. This is very critical. This is a very critical point. Mm-hmm. Especially our men, upstanding men, as your program suggests, who are responsible. Their fathers, their husbands, their sons, and you name it, go right across. You have school fees to pay, you have bills to pay, you have the mortgage, you have the loans, car loans, you name it. And the critical thing I want to point out here is, a lot of people are really feeling the strain.
Yes.
A lot of us are feeling the strain. And so that crunch in terms of having, that emergency fund, really, it's not all of us are are able to do that because of our what you call our disposable income, right? And our disposable income, of course, is the money that is left after all our deductions, the taxations and the deductions. And most time we can just really find money for buy some food, put in that house probably if we get paid monthly, probably for 2 weeks or probably 3 weeks. And so therefore, as Sir Bruce had touched about, diversifying our portfolio, meaning, we can't just be single income. We have to look at our talent. So yes, we have this main source of getting income, but we have to find other little talents we have. So whether plumbing, whether we can paint. For me, it's like music, being a musician. So, we have to find those little odd things there and so, build and generate our income capacity, right? So for me, that is what I try to do, expand my portfolio in terms of, my offering, what is it I'm able to do. And as such, try to put away, as slim as possible, to say, listen, this is for a rainy day. You never know when a rainy day can come.
Yes. No, thank you. Really, really appreciate that. Sir Bruce, paying off debt, because lots of people find themselves with huge debts, whether it's credit card or they had to borrow money, student loan, or they've just find themselves making some bad decision and then find themselves owe a whole heap of money and they feel hopeless. Help somebody here, Bruce.
Yeah.
How do you go about dealing with the debt?
Fantastic question. So the first thing in dealing with what I call high cost debt or being in a sea of debt is to acknowledge that you are in a very serious crisis. So when you find that when the bank manager or the bank is calling you and you kill the call, or you see somebody that you owe money and you make a beeline, right? The first step is to acknowledge that you have this problem. Scott Peck, in his book, persons who face up to the difficulties of their problems, you're a counselor, man, you know this stuff. They get through their problems faster, and to ignore a wound would mean that the wound would be possibly amputated later. So accept the pain of your current situation, and it might mean talking to your spouse or your spice. That was a joke. So that's number one, acknowledging. Number two, if you are going to get, then you must learn to save money. The fact that you are falling behind means that you're spending more than you're earning, and so you don't have enough left over to service the debt. So it takes me back to TTCI. Where has my money been going? I need to stop figuring out or wondering where my money is going. Get back in the driver's seat and dictate where your money should be going. How do you do that? I gave it to the caller earlier. Track your expenses. When you look at what you're spending on various items, it might shock you to see how much you pay. Anything against the dogs, but you really need to apply that TTCI, and you will not start to attack the debt until you are able to save money. And part of that also understand your natural money personality. There are persons who are what are known as moguls. They like to spend big. They try to win friends by splashing out their credit cards rather than the sure foundation of love and loyalty. So acknowledge where you are, but you have to generate savings. And to generate that savings, I gave it TTCI. The hardest part of TTCI is the chop. You might have a kid. Listen to me, John. Expensive private college in the great United States, and you have to be sending thousands of US dollars every month, and that thing is bleeding you, and you could redirect that money to get yourselves out of debt. You may have to send your precious little Susie or Johnny to Com College in the States, which is a fraction, or send them back to one of our great universities in Jamaica. That's chop. That's hard. And once we understand the importance of having savings is foolish man consumes it all, but there is oil in the house of the wise. It is wise to save. So acknowledge the problem, generate savings. If you cannot generate savings, you stop. Let's say you start to save more money, then you could consider debt consolidation. That's where you take, let's say you have 10 debts. Lots of financial institutions, they offer consolidation loans, especially if you have high cost debts. If you have credit card debts averaging 48%, you can consolidate those credit cards. And there are many institutions that will be happy to lend you at maybe 16 if it's unsecured, or if you have some security, you might get it down to 9, 10. Allow you to have a lower monthly payment and save a lot of interest. So very fast, acknowledge the problem, learn to save money, because it's the savings that will give you the fuel to drive towards attacking the debt, especially high cost debt. Credit card is an example of high cost debt. And then you can consider debt consult. Many of the financial institutions will be happy to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Bruce. That's the voice there of Bruce Scott. Simon, how you manage with debts? What your personal do you overcome that? Do you struggle with that? How you manage debts?
Okay, so fantastic question, because that is one of the heaviest burden, for us, especially in a developing country, where most of us, we don't feel that, we are earning what we are worth, right? Reaching those the grassroots levels now. So you'd say most of us feel that we're underemployed. So, in order to grow money, Sir Bruce can comment on this afterwards, because I'm sure that's somewhere in one of his theories. We actually still really need to generate debt, in order to save our money. You want to be liquid, but at the same time, you need a house, you need a car, right? You don't want to take up, 35 million or 25 million or 20 million if you have that much liquid cash, to say, listen, sell me one house, like you go to the shop to buy some groceries, right? So you don't want to go through, go through some financing, a financial corporate, financial organization, and so you get that loan at a good interest rate, manageable, so you can repay that, over extended period of time. And so you still have your 35 million or your 20 million or your 8 million or 15 million, understand, for any emergency. So that is a part of managing your portfolio, and that's what I try to do as much as possible. I mean, unnecessary spending. So like some persons might say, boy, listen, okay, them have a Honda car to drive to work, and I want another car, I want a Lamborghini, and you put it there to sit down. I'll drive this on the weekend. Yes, there are some persons like Bruce who can afford that. but cars actually depreciate. They can actually be, really a burden. So I you buy that second car to do some kind of investment, like, say, okay, run a taxi or Uber, or, you have Uber now, or Juta or something like that. That is an investment.
Hey, Simon, sorry to break, but we're going to come back to you. We're going to take a studio break and then let you finish up. So this is the mailbox. We take a break right about now, and then we'll be back in a moment.
Integrity man, I am a man.
And pass your CXC Cape City and Girls Math and English exams in only 6 to 12 months at Distinction College. Start online and face-to-face classes in May and sit exams in January or May, June of next year. In math, English, chemistry, biology, IT, start international course in practical, geriatric and pediatric nursing, phlebotomy, plumbing, early childhood education, and more. Register this week and win yourself a course or subjects for free. Visit us in Kingston, Spanish Town, Ocho Rios, and St. Elizabeth. Call us at 356-4167.
Easter Monday, Abundant Life Ministry Easter Praise Fest and Fun Day begins at 10 a.m. with lots of activities. Bounce about, trampoline, high striker, bungee run. Children pay only $1,500 and ride all day. Plus entry to concert at 7 p.m. with Kevin Heath, Jai Kingston, Unity Singers, Judah Praise and others. MC Nadine Blair. Adults $2,500, pre-sold $3,000 at the gate. Children 12 and under $1,000 at the gate. The Abundant Life Ministry Easter Praise Fest and Fun Day. Easter Monday, April 10. Bounty Hall, Trelawney.
I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes. Strong man.
Integrity man, I am a man. Welcome back to the mailbox on Love 101 FM, the family station. We have been having a very interesting conversation with Bruce Scott and Simon Plummer. Simon, want you to finish up. No, I had to cut you there before we continue because I want Bruce to address what's the difference between liabilities and assets. Is that important for us as we consider making money, the preserving of it, the sowing of it, etc.? And then Bruce, I want you to tell us how persons can get a copy of your book as well, because I don't want the program finished without us them knowing that information. But Simon, yes, I want you to finish up what you were saying. Simon, you there?
In managing my debt.
Yes.
You hear me? Sorry. Right. So
Sure.
in managing my debt portfolio, I try as much as possible tracking my expenses, right, and chopping what is unnecessary. So, for example, I don't go and fine dine at a fine fancy restaurant, probably 3 times a month, because that $7,000 to $10,000 that I spend right there, it's gonna have some implication on some other costs or some other bills that I have to pay, right? So therefore, I have to rein in how much times I go to a fine restaurant for the month, for example. I might just need to go one time or whatever it was, entertainment. I'm not going every week. I probably, budget for entertainment once for the month. And so therefore, I'm able to deal with my expenses and so accumulate less debt.
All right. Thank you. Totally appreciate that. Sir Bruce, don't know if you want to comment, because I just thought of, do you use debt sometimes? Is it advisable, and when is that advisable? And then you take on the other stuff, assets and liabilities. Yeah.
Kevin, I need the rest of the program to answer that one day. All right. But seriously. Yeah. Here's a principle that I talk about in the book. And I'm just gonna attack it from this point of view. Where if an entrepreneurial, most persons are entrepreneurial, right? So the question is, how do I leverage that? How do I use that? And in the book, I argue very strongly that if you have a high cost debt, when I say high cost debt, I mean debt. By the way, nothing is wrong with a credit card. What I'm talking about is people carrying credit card balances and not paying off the amount, right? So if you have a mountain of credit cards where you're averaging 48% per month and you're carrying that, right? There's no investment ordinarily that will give you an annual average growth rate that will beat 48%. There are persons, the young professional had a CF credit card debt and had like about $400,000 in savings and felt very comfortable. But the savings account, I saw my savings account with some of my emergency fund, 0.1%. So the point I'm trying to make is that you only you only invest when you have debt if the return on the investment is going to be greater than the cost of the debt. So if you have credit card debt, you ought not. And if you have credit card debt and you have investments, even in the stock market or on bonds, it's probably not the best decision because you're unlikely to be. You have low cost debt. Like if you see an apartment going up, maybe a $15 million apartment, or for the lower end of the market, and you can borrow at 7, 8, 9%, and the rental income plus the capital appreciation gives you 15, 16%, then that's good. So you really only ought to be borrowing to invest when the return on the investment will outperform. Look out for any taxes and transactions costs to make sure that you're really going to end up ahead of the debt cost that you're paying. Hopefully that was clear.
Thank you. Yes, where can persons get the book, Bruce?
All right, so the book is on Amazon, it's on Apple Books, it's on just about any online platform that you can think of. It's on Barnes and Noble. It is in all formats. So if you like hardcover, I actually have a hardcover here. Beautiful, if I might say so. This is a hardcover.
Yes.
There's a paper. Audio for those who don't like to read a 288-page book when you're driving, and be careful though, make sure your hands free, don't break the law. And there's ebook, Kindle, and it's Barnes & Noble Kindle, Amazon Kindle. And in Jamaica, you can get a Bookland on Knoxville Boulevard. Go rush to Suzanne. She'll be happy to see you to get your copy of the book.
Thank you. Totally appreciate that. Simon, we want you to tell us the best financial advice that you have ever received. And then I'm going to ask Bruce to talk about the difference between assets and liabilities. So Simon, what's the best advice, financial advice that you have received so far in your short lifespan?
Okay. So listen, I'm going to go as grassroots as possible.
Yes.
And this, I actually heard it from somebody. This wasn't from me personally. But I remember a friend, while I was studying, one of my friends said her dad, she never forget what her dad told her from she coming up and said, listen, if it is whatever you have, try to save something from it. And I'm going to tell you the example. And he said, if you have a banana, break off a piece of it and put it down for a rainy day. And you never know. And, you know, it's hypothetical, really.
Yes.
But listen, I don't know if it can get much better than that. I'm sure Mr. Bruce can tell us. But if you have a banana, break piece out and put on, because you never know when it's going to be a rainy day. You don't have anything to eat. I don't think it can get better than that.
Thank you. Totally appreciate that, Simon. Sir Bruce.
So Kevin, can I? I know the time is going. Can I take a stab at that question and then I rush to the last piece?
Sure.
So the best, most amazing piece of advice, especially for the younger listeners, if you start early and cut out some of the braffing and the flasking. I'm not saying you should cut it out to zero because you need fun money. You can't wait for that magical moment when you retire. You need to enjoy life along the way. If you understand the principle of starting to save and invest early, if you can save 15% of your average annual income over the next 30 years, if you're 22 years old, by 52, you invest that money in something like a unit trust or mutual fund, big words, but it's a form of investment. Those things average annual growth rates of at least 10%, average annual. That money, with the law of compounding, will run Zell like a cheetah. So in the book, I make the illustration, a young person left college, invested 50% of their money over 30 years and was able to amass. And this is average annual income in the US, right? Average Joe in the US, $1 million US by 52. And they were able to retire. That's a law of compounding. So the most important thing I'll say, if you understand the law of compounding, where interest grows on interest on interest, it will blow your mind. So if you're listening to me again, that's why the book is called GPS Money. At any age, especially for the younger folks, learn to save and invest, and you have to take a little risk for the money to grow at a reasonable rate. That's the best investment. The piece of advice. We're not giving financial advice here. We're just talking about the principle.
Yes.
That's what I would encourage. And if you're older, then you're going to have to probably plan to work a bit part-time because you probably would not have enough time on your hand, but you can still benefit from that. Liabilities versus assets, right?
Yes. So we have a minute or so
Yeah.
to do
All right.
it.
Liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. So if you go on an expensive vacation and you put back all the photos on Instagram and that vacation disappears, that credit card sits there, that's a liability. Asset is something that puts money in your pocket. You buy a piece of land and then you rent it out to some people to farm, or you buy an apartment and you get rental income. That is an asset. So asset puts money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. That is why you don't need to use a credit card for buying regular food and end up paying interest on it. That's going to take money out of your pocket. An asset puts money in your pocket. I gave you an example earlier. So once you understand your liabilities and safeguard your assets.
Thank you, Sir Bruce. Simon, what would you want to say to our men who are listening? That you would just encourage them to manage your finance. But what would you say to them as we are about to wrap up?
Yes. So the principle, I'll go back again. The very important principle of giving. We can't be, if it is that somebody only just want, I just want to receive, and I give nothing at all. The basic maths, I've spoken about it earlier, basic maths, you have to give to receive, right? So you sow a seed, and the principle that God gives us, you sow that seed and it comes back to you multiplied. So one of the fundamental scriptures that I use, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and everything else shall be added. Right? So that is a fundamental mental principle that I use. Try to assist the needy, no matter how much need I am in. And I might find my need all the way up here. But if I am just trying to scrape and grab everything for myself, I'm passing people who are dying in need, where is my humanity? So, one of the things I would encourage us to do, be selfless, right? Put everything in perspective. Mr. Bruce has laid out all the principles.
Thank you. Totally appreciate that, Simon. Final word, Sir Bruce, encouraging our men to look at financial integrity or to manage our money.
Yeah, the final word is every man, male man we're talking about today, have a responsibility or has a responsibility to learn to GPS your money, which implies an income. Martin Luther says every work is noble. If you're sweeping street, sweep to the glory. But when you get that sweeping street money, or that big CEO money, you must learn to grow and protect and sow that money. And the fundamental principle is not spending everything. Keep some. The savings is the seed that you will plant and invest for it to grow, to take care of your family, and to give to the church.
Thank you so much, Sir Bruce Scott and Simon Plummer. Really appreciate the wisdom and the direction for this evening's program. So, special guests, Bruce Scott, chartered accountant, author, Simon Plummer, statistician and CEO. Want to thank Trishan, our producer, and thank you so much, our listeners, for really being with us. Listen again next week for another program on the mailbox. You are invited to look at the #1 gospel station. I'm Kevin Bailey, and so we say Monday up. Have a great rest of the evening. Thank you so much.